Welcome back to DIY guitar making. Okay, so the Parlor guitar saga continues here. I am working on the all of the different jigs and various things I need to design and build for this 13 fret to the body Parlor guitar. Because this is on tracing paper and drawn out with pencil, you probably can't really see the design too well. But anyway, you don't need to. What I'm working on right now is my fretboard template. When I make a new model, I like to make a dedicated template for the fretboard for that model. And that's what I'm working on right now. So what I've done is I've already rough shaped this to the design I want. Of course, the taper is very important here. But when I say design, really it's just the aesthetic detail at the end. And this is rough shaped, but it's not perfectly symmetrical. So what I've done at this point is I've drawn a center line here and looked at it closely and decided which side I liked better. Okay? And that is going to be this side right here. I just think it's a little more subtle than this curve over here. So what I'm going to do now is cut this fretboard template perfectly in half, and I'm going to stick the good side that I like down to another piece of MDF with double stick tape and duplicate this shape that I like onto that other piece of MDF so that I can then glue that basically like I'm book matching a set of backs or tops, right? I'm going to book match those two pieces that I made, which will give me the perfect symmetry on the fretboard tongue that I desire. Let's get started. All right, definitely don't want to cut the wrong side here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this. There we go. That's the bad side. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Eye protection, ear protection. All right, now let's clean that cut up on the edge sander. Alright, so we had a whole fretboard template, and now we have a half template. Kind of seems like we're going in the wrong direction, but I swear there's a purpose. So, and that purpose is symmetry, of course. So at this point, what I like to do is come back to my drawing here, and I have an opportunity before I duplicate this and glue the two halves together. I have an opportunity to double check my alignment by placing this right on center and seeing how that lines up with the taper on this side. And then I can go to the sander and just adjust this taper ever so slightly to rein that in. And then of course when I do duplicate the other side, it will perfectly match whatever I do on this side. So in that way, I'm not doing this step afterwards with a full fretboard and worrying about, you know, both sides at the same time. I can just get this one absolutely perfect and then duplicate it. Okay? So this actually looks pretty good. I might touch it up just a hair, but that looks pretty good. Okay, closer, but not quite. A little bit more. I love sanding, it's what I do. Alright, so here's my scrap piece, and here is the template half. I'm going to go ahead and stick some double stick tape onto my template half. Just like that, and I'm going to trim off all the excess. I like to leave, on this curve here, I left the double stick tape off of the very edge there just because it's difficult to trim the excess off on that delicate little curve. And I don't really need the extra tape there. This is going to hold really well anyway with all this surface area. Alright, so let's go ahead and trim this off. Boom. Alright, stick that down good. Give it a little CPR. Okay, before I go straight to the flush trim router bit, it behooves me to just nip off some of the larger chunks of MDF that are sticking out by some other means, like say with the spindle sander or with the edge sander or the disc sander for this little end right here. Just any way of knocking the excess off so that you're presenting very little wood to the router bit, because router bits are cantankerous. Alright, so here we are at the router table. I have a flush trim router bit here. You can see this flush bearing, and that is intended to ride right on our template piece nice and smoothly and give us a perfect duplication of that template piece. Now I know I said earlier that I would do this whole thing on the router, but actually these long edges are kind of difficult. They're not terrible, but they're a little bit uncomfortable, let's say. So really all I have to do on the flush trim router bit is this little curvy aesthetic end piece here, and the rest of this I can just flatten right down to the template on one of the sanders, either the edge sander or the belt sander, and one that'll be quicker, but also it's just a little bit safer. These long edges are weird. This will be fine though. So first thing I have to do is lower this down to the template. Alright, that looks good. Lock that up. And that's it. Alright, now I'm going to sand these ends. So my two pieces are perfectly smooth. I'm now going to separate them. I can't pull them apart with my fingers, which is good. That just means that the double stick tape did its job. So I'm going to use my favorite temple removing spatula, and I really mean that, is a fish spatula. This thing works great. Let's get this nasty gooey tape off here right away, because otherwise it becomes nasty and gooey. Actually, right now it comes off nice and easy, but if you leave it on there, it's not so good. Okay, well, there was one, now there is two. Let's join these. Alright, so now to join this, I'm going to use a joining board, which this is a specialty built joining board that I use specifically for attaching little purfling strips to the edge of unbent binding strips. That's in order to get side purfling. I've done a couple videos on this. If you look back in the archives, you can check that out if you're interested in side purfling. A little dusty, haven't used it in a while. Alright, so we're going to load this up in here, just like that. Place the fence like this, and this works just like a joining board in this case. Alright, so now we've got our wedge, right? This is our wedge shape. That's what's going to give us our pressure. Pop this out. Press that into the wedge. And we're going to put some weight on top. I just want to get some of this glue off of there first. Wait. And this will work as a weight. This is just an old splitting maul for firewood. Okay, the weight just keeps it from buckling up when it's pushed under pressure as it is. And that's it. So that is one way of making a symmetrical fretboard template. Anyway, I've been making a lot of templates and molds and jigs for the Parlor series of guitars, or model, I don't like to say series, the Parlor model of guitars that I am doing now. So, you know, I've got bridge templates as well that I've been working on. Here, let me show you the side bender. That has new molds as well. And actually what took me a great deal of time was just getting all these bending shoes set up. The bending forms that I have here, these are all for my Parlor models. These honestly weren't as hard as just getting the bending shoe done right. Okay, so I think that's all I got for you today, guys. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I actually did a lot today, more than just that template. And so I'm going to go home. I'm going to relax with my kids. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Signing off. See you later. If you learned something here, please give this video a like and subscribe so you can be notified when I release a new DIY guitar making video. And if you want to really learn more, take one of my structured online courses at ericschaferguitars.com or register for a hands-on guitar building workshop here with me in Burnville, Pennsylvania.